is the Writer's Almanac for Monday. It's the 8th of February, 2021. It's the birthday of the poet Elizabeth Bishop, born in Worcester, Massachusetts, 1911. Went to Vassar, wrote poetry there, and from her mentor, the poet Marianne Moore, she learned that she could write poems that were not about big ideas like love or death, but just about looking at objects. It's the birthday of John Grisham, born Jonesboro, Arkansas, 1955. He was a successful lawyer. He set out to write a novel about one of his court cases. It was called A Time to Kill. It came out in 1989, did not do well. John Grisham then read an article in Writer's Digest magazine about the rules of suspense, and he used that formula to write a thriller about a law student who realizes the firm that he works for is connected to the mafia. And that was The Firm, a huge bestseller in 1991. Kate Chopin, born in St. Louis, 1850, on this day. She came from a successful family. She was a young socialite, a Southern belle. She got married, had 6 children. She was a devoted wife and mother. But then her husband died, and then her mother died, and Kate Chopin was depressed. Her doctor encouraged her to write because she was a good letter writer. And so over a period of about 15 years, Kate Chopin wrote almost 100 short stories and 2 novels, At Fault and The Awakening, in 1899. It was The Awakening that caused a controversy at the time, the story of a woman who gives up being a wife and mother, has an affair, and walks into the sea, perhaps a suicide. It was heavily censored and criticized at the time, now considered an important work by an early feminist author, The Awakening. And it's the birthday of Neal Cassady, born in Salt Lake City, 1926. A con man in and out of jail, came to New York City, met Jack Kerouac and Allen Ginsberg, who idolized him. To them, Neal Cassady embodied everything that they embraced in theory. Neal Cassady was the inspiration for the character Dean Moriarty, the hero of Jack Kerouac's On the Road. Allen Ginsberg wrote about him, and Neal Cassady appears in the Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test by Tom Wolfe as a friend of Ken Kesey's. Here's a poem for today by Stephen Dunn entitled Stories. It was back when we used to listen to stories, our minds developing pictures as we were taken into the elsewhere of our experience, or to the forbidden or under the sea. Television was wrestling Milton Berle, believe it or not. We knelt before it like natives in front of something sent by parachute. But when grandfather said, "I'll tell you a story," we stopped with pleasure, sat cross-legged next to the fireplace, waited. He'd sip gin and hold us, his voice, the extra truth beyond what we believed, without question. When grandfather died and changed what an evening meant, it was 1954. After supper, we went to the television. Innocence in a magic land, getting more innocent, 1,000 years away from Oswald and the shock, the end of our enormous childhood. We sat still for anything, laughed when anyone slipped or lisped or got hit with a pie. We said to our friends, "What the hey?" and punched them in the arms. The television had arrived and was coming. Throughout the country, all the grandfathers were dying, giving their reluctant permission, like Indians. A poem by Stephen Dunn, Stories, from his collection Local Time, published by Quill Press and used by permission here on the Writer's Almanac. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch.